Woodworking, as a practice, often sits between planning and execution. Before any material is cut, a sequence of decisions usually occurs. Dimensions must be defined, joints selected, tolerances calculated, and tool access considered. For many projects, this preparatory phase occupies more time than the physical construction itself. In common practice, this preparation is distributed across multiple sources. Plans may be gathered from magazines, books, online forums, or individual downloads. Each source tends to assume a different baseline of experience. Measurements may be incomplete, diagrams simplified, or steps condensed. As a result, effort accumulates not only in building, but in reconciling inconsistencies between instructions. This fragmentation produces a specific kind of friction. Time is spent verifying measurements, interpreting drawings, and filling gaps left by generalized guidance. Complexity increases as projects scale, and even small builds can require repeated cross-checking between references. The act of woodworking becomes partially administrative, shaped by the availability and clarity of documentation rather than by materials alone. Over time, this condition normalizes. Planning becomes an ongoing task rather than a discrete step. Each new project restarts the same search process, with similar uncertainties reappearing in different forms. TedsWoodworking exists within the category of instructional plan collections. Structurally, it is not a tool, a material kit, or a workshop service. It is a centralized archive of project documentation delivered as a digital library. The product is organized as a large database of woodworking plans, presented as individual self-contained project files. Access is granted through a one-time purchase model, with plans made available for download through a members area. The format emphasizes quantity and coverage rather than curated sequencing or guided progression. Each plan is designed to function independently. There is no required order of use, no imposed curriculum, and no dependency between projects. The structure assumes that selection is driven by immediate project intent rather than long-term instruction paths. What this format does not attempt is instruction through narrative or coaching. It does not simulate a workshop environment, nor does it impose pacing, milestones, or evaluation. The product's role is limited to providing documented plans rather than directing how woodworking should be learned or practiced. Interaction with the material is primarily referential. Plans are accessed, reviewed, and applied as needed. The level of engagement depends on the chosen project rather than on the system itself. Time involvement is variable. A plan may be consulted briefly to confirm measurements or examined in detail across multiple stages of construction. The system does not track progress, enforce completion, or require feedback loops. Repeatability is inherent in the format. The same plan can be reused multiple times, modified externally, or referenced alongside other plans. The library structure allows parallel usage, where multiple projects may be considered simultaneously without constraint. Dependencies remain external. Tools, materials, workspace, and skill application are not integrated into the product. The plans assume access to basic woodworking resources, but do not supply or regulate them. Execution remains entirely separate from the documentation. The format simplifies access by consolidating a large number of plans into a single repository. It reduces the need to search across fragmented sources and standardizes how information is presented at the plan level. At the same time, this structure leaves several elements unresolved. It does not filter projects based on individual capability, workspace limitations, or preferred construction methods. Selection responsibility remains with the user. The absence of sequencing means that progression is not defined. There is no inherent distinction between introductory and advanced engagement beyond what is indicated within individual plans. For some, this openness may require additional judgment or external guidance. The format may also feel insufficient where hands-on demonstration or adaptive instruction is expected. The plans document processes, but they do not respond to variation during execution. Within the broader landscape of woodworking resources, TedsWoodworking occupies a reference-oriented position. It sits alongside magazines, standalone plan purchases, and instructional books, differing primarily in scale and consolidation. A full understanding of the material depends on direct inspection of the plans themselves. The depth of schematics, the consistency of measurements, and the clarity of step sequences are properties that cannot be fully evaluated without viewing the documents in use. How the plans function across different project types, skill levels, or workshop conditions remains context-dependent. Those distinctions emerge only when specific plans are selected and applied, rather than from the structure of the library alone. The product presents itself as an archive rather than a pathway, leaving interpretation, application, and assessment outside the scope of the format itself.